looking at this guitar sound in particular. So there's two components. I'll spend a little bit of time on the actual timbre, how I came up with that. The short answer is, I only sort of did. So this is a patch by Echo Soundworks. If you don't know Echo Soundworks, he's fantastic. This came from Coda. It's like a bunch of organic instruments built into Serum wavetables and the noise oscillator and stuff, and they just sound awesome. They're like hybrid acoustic electronic stuff. So I started with that, and then I added some amps and some auto pan and stuff. So let me turn that off. Right. So really pretty sounding, but I wanted it with a little bit more guts to it, so I added a couple amps. These are both free. This is by Brainworks. It's the Rock Rack. This is not free, but this is the preset, or sorry, the free version where you can't change the presets, but you can scroll through the presets. And all these presets are great. And although you can't change them, they're great starting places. So I ran that, and then I put it into another amp, which is Emissary by Ignite. And this sounds awesome. It's too aggressive, so I did parallel processing on it. I have a dry chain, and this is the wet chain. This is what the wet chain sounds like. Right, so with the dry chain. Okay, and then I wanted this to have some movement and be in the background sometimes, so I built this as well. This is auto panners, and if you put the phase up and get these in alignment, then this is both the left and the right channel are going up and down in volume, so it's going to act more like a tremolo, and so it's kind of tremoloing, and this is like mostly in phase with each other, so it's also tremoloing, and you can see this is kind of the opposite. So they're all at different speeds, so I'm kind of getting it to bob up and down a little bit, sort of randomly, and this auto filter helps with that movement. And there's this compressor afterwards, which sort of removes some of that tremolo, but I really liked how it sounds. So that's the gist of the timbre. Not too big of a deal. It's just a pretty sounding guitar patch with some amps and some movement. Mostly what I want to spend time on is how I generated these like strum lines. So I used this. So this is something I built out of a MIDI rack that I found for free online somewhere, and I wish I knew who had originally made it, because I'd give them better credit, but I've since tricked this out more. But at its core, it's basically just a arpeggiator is where all the real action happens. And so as I change the strum speed, that's just the rate on this arpeggiator. You can see that it repeats one time, so that just means you're going to strum through it one time. Right, and then I also have this up-down, which changes this from going up to going down. Right, so if you're strumming, you're strumming down and up. I wanted to be able to simulate that. So, you'd go from the low notes to the high notes, to the high notes to the low notes. So check it. In this MIDI, it's just block chords, but this is the up-downness of it all. So I'm strumming from the low notes to high. Turn off some of these in case it's glitching on your end. Alright, so, and then this strum speed, you can see I automated this strum speed. I'm just going to turn off these rock racks and like the auto panning and stuff just for now, just to sort of highlight the strum patterns so we don't get overloaded. So you can see that knob automating. Say I wanted this last one to take longer to open up. I could do it like more horizontal, but you're gonna find it's too wide, like too Right, so I often like the first couple notes to take more time, and then you sort of hurry through the rest of the strum. Right. So sort of hurry through the rest of the strum to, I find that feels pretty natural. The other thing is the timing, when you do this kind of thing, the timing, like what you want to land on grid is actually like what comes off as the melody note, which is usually the highest note. So if you're starting strumming from the bottom notes up, you kind of want to start that before the beat happens. So here, they're blocked chords and everything. They're happening right on the beat. So I would fix this in audio, but in the meantime, you could pull the track delay down like 70 milliseconds or something. Right, and you can see how long this is delaying. So it's like 25. So that's like 3 of the notes, and like the third note's going to hit about on time. I don't have these beats anymore, but you get the point. Alright, so when you hit that high note, which is going from the low notes to the high notes, that's the one that you want to hit on time. It'll sound more natural. Just like if you're processing vocals, if you haven't done that, you'll find that like your S's and stuff will actually lead before the note, and the vowel that hits, which is like the real core of the note, you want to hit right on the grid to be like really on time. Right, so if you sing like sweet, right, it's the E, you're going to want to be on time. The swa is kind of like going to be a pre-transient, right, leading into when you hit right on the grid with that vowel. So the other thing I really want to show you is from these chords here. Right, this is it's the same chords as this, but I chopped out some of the notes, and the reason I chopped out some of the notes is because it's going to make the arpeggiation pattern cooler. So I used another arpeggiator, and I did 2 tricks. I used this note mode, so it would start the pattern over from the top moving downwards, right? And I did 2 repeats, and so it's only going to go through twice, right? And then it's going to stop, and that's going to put these like little pauses in the melody line that I'm about to play for you. And it kind of gives it a more natural feel. This, I'm doing a 16th note swing, and I'm doing in 16th notes. So you'll see, so this MIDI was generated from this chord pattern, and I rendered it out to another MIDI track, and I saved it here. And so it sounds like this. Hold on, I gotta turn off this arpeggiator, right? And this one I wouldn't want the track delay because it's always starting at the top note, right? Alright, see if I can get these amps on without wrecking the computer. Right. So that's pretty much what I did. I think it sounds beautiful. So yeah, I'll give away this guitar strumming rack. It's really versatile. You don't have to play it just with guitars, but it adds to the realism when you do. And automating this knob is way easier than shifting all the MIDI notes, and then you have to shift 3 more, and then you got to shift 3 more and everything. You just sort of bend the curve a little bit, and they all move. Their timing, and it's kind of more natural because it's like I'm strumming fast and I'm strumming faster, I'm strumming like slow, it's just twisting this knob. And then you've got the up strums and down strums, so you don't have to think, oh, I'm going to arrange it from like the high notes to the low notes, and I'm going to go from the low notes to the high notes. You just invert that knob and you're good. So really, really versatile tool. Other things you can do with it is like, these are the note lengths, so if we just as an example, and this would scale that. Right. This chord selector is just for if you're playing one note. You can turn this on and it will play different like major chord, minor chord, and stuff. You can open this up and you can look at what's available. But yeah, so there's more options there. I might build a different version of that that's like a little bit more easy to automate and get cool different voicings of the same chord, like group the minor chords and the major chords and together. And then there's some things for like velocity, like this I use for to help things be articulated a little bit cleaner. And yeah, the only other thing is you need some randomization of velocity. This one is, again, it's for like if you want to really articulate the first note hard, right, and then like decay downwards. So I usually put this around like 70 or 80 or 90, and I'll stick it like 127 or whatever for the actual velocity, and then I'll stick this at like, I don't know, 150 milliseconds or something, and so like the first couple notes will hit extra hard and it'll decay down to like a lower sustain level in the strum, which is what this is. So it gives you some ability to add like a little bit like stronger of a punch, which is nice. Check the link in the description for this rack because that will be there. Okay, that's all I have for you for this time. Enjoy. Check the description for this again. Check out my original music. Subscribe, like, all that stuff, and I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.